In the heart of Devon's Dartmoor, where the Buckfastleigh road winds through heather and gorse, lies a lonely stretch known as Four Firs, named for the quartet of ancient trees that stand sentinel at a crossroads. The spot has long been a place of unease for travellers. By day, it's merely picturesque, but as midnight approaches, the air grows heavy, and those who pass speak of sounds that chill the blood, a phantom coach, its horses' hooves clattering, accompanied by the low wail of mourners. The legend whispered in the taverns of Buckfastleigh tells of a man buried in unhallowed ground at Four Firs, his restless spirit bound to the road he died upon. In the winter of 1885, Clara Henshaw, a seamstress from Ashburton, found herself caught in the tale. A practical woman of 25, Clara was known for her steady hands and sharp tongue, unafraid of long walks or late hours. On a bitter December night, she'd stayed late at a client's home in Buckfastleigh, stitching a wedding gown for a squire's daughter. With her fee tucked into her pocket and a lantern to light her way, she set out for home, the 3-mile trek along the Buckfastleigh road a familiar one. The sky was clear, the stars sharp, but a biting wind carried the promise of snow. As Clara neared Four Firs, the church clock in Buckfastleigh told midnight, its chimes faint across the moor. She quickened her pace, the Four Firs looming ahead, their branches swaying like mourners at a wake. The road was deserted, the silence broken only by her boots crunching on frost. Then, as she reached the crossroads, a sound stopped her cold, the rhythmic clatter of hooves, the creak of wheels, and a low, keening wail, like voices raised in grief. Clara's lantern trembled in her grip, its light casting wild shadows. No coach was visible, yet the noises grew louder, closer, as if an invisible procession bore down upon her. She stepped to the roadside, her heart pounding, but the sounds enveloped her. Hooves pounding the earth, the rattle of a coach, and the mournful cries weaving through the firs. The air turned frigid, her breath clouding in the lantern's glow. Clara clutched her shawl, her eyes darting, expecting to see horses and mourners emerge from the dark. Instead, the noises circled her, a spectral parade that seemed to pass through the very ground where she stood. At the stroke of one, as the church clock tolled again, the sounds faded, leaving only the moan of the wind and the rustle of fir needles. Clara stumbled home, her nerves frayed, and by dawn, her story had reached the Black Boar Inn, where the locals gathered. Old Josiah Trent, a shepherd with a memory for Dartmoor's secrets, nodded sagely over his ale. "You heard the Four Firs coach," he said, his voice low. "It's been haunting that road since my grandsire's time." He leaned closer, his eyes glinting. "They say a man, a highwayman named Black Will, was cut down at Four Firs nigh on a century ago. Robbed the wrong coach. He did, a nobleman's, and they buried him where he fell. No priest, no prayers. His soul's trapped, driven a ghost coach with mourners who never rest." Josiah's tale fleshed out the legend. Black Will, a dashing rogue who'd plagued the Buckfastleigh road in the 1780s, had ambushed a coach carrying a lord's gold. But the lord's men were ready, and Will was struck down, his body left bleeding at the crossroads. The nobleman, fearing Will's infamy, ordered him buried in secret, his grave unmarked beneath the firs. Since then, every night between midnight and 1, Will's coach, pulled by spectral horses and trailed by phantom mourners, retraced his final ride, a curse for his crimes or a plea for redemption. Clara, though shaken, was no coward. She returned to the Black Boar days later, her chin high, and shared her experience with a mix of defiance and wonder. The villagers, respectful of her grit, added her account to the lore. Travellers began avoiding for furs after dark, and carters swore they'd heard the coaches clatter, some glimpsing shadowy horses in the mist. A local vicar, Father Anselm, tried blessing the crossroads, scattering holy water under the firs, but the nightly procession continued, undeterred. Years passed, and Clara became a keeper of the tale, telling it to her children by the fire, her voice steady but her eyes distant. The Four Firs coach remained a fixture of Dartmoor's mysteries. It sounds a warning to those who tread the Buckfastleigh road at witching hour. To this day, locals and wanderers alike pause at the crossroads, listening for the echo of hooves and the wail of mourners. And beneath the firs, where no marker stands, Black Will's spirit drives on, forever bound to the road that claimed him, his ghostly coach, a reminder that some debts are paid only in eternity. Many thanks for treading this tale's dark path. If its chill gripped you, like, subscribe, and comment below.